Here are 15 of the best Ask Reddit stories for today. I hope you enjoy and remember to subscribe. It really helps us out. We post new videos every day.
What was the most brutal rejection you ever received from a woman? Been walked away from mid-sentence. The weirdest one I ever had was from a woman I'd been on 2 dates with. She was off on a ski trip and sent me a Dear John text saying, among other things, that she wasn't interested in something short-term. I said fine. I wasn't thinking short-term either, but if she wasn't into it then no harm done. Well, apparently this entire text chain had been curated by her and her friends on the trip as some sort of test that I failed. I was supposed to fight for our relationship, after 2 dates, and do some big romantic gesture to win her back. She had also apparently been talking marriage with her friends and had been planning our lives. So I guess I dodged a train-sized bullet on that one. Back in school, I asked a girl to one of the dances and 6 of her friends took turns telling me she didn't want to go with me throughout the rest of the day. Some of them seemed to enjoy it. Super late to the party, and wasn't a rejection as such, but a girl I had taken out a few times and I were at a relatively expensive restaurant. She couldn't find her phone, so I called it. It rang next to me. I was saved as free dinner. Asked if she wanted to go for a drink at the weekend, and she said yes. Within 12 hours she texted me, I've thought about it and I really don't want to date someone like you. It would be bad for my image. We were both 18 at 6th form, and I'm still genuinely intrigued as to what sort of effect on her image I would have had. We set up a date, then I drove out to meet her at a cafe of her choosing. At least 30 minutes driving. She ended up ghosting me. No call, no text, no show, nothing. Coffee wasn't too bad, actually. Date sucked.
What is criminally overpriced? Human pharmaceuticals. My dog needed a chelation medication that my vet specifically said was on the pricey side but recommended a pharmacy that she worked with. I called with prescription in hand, and they quoted $3,000 plus for a month's supply. Then the rep stated they accidentally read the cost for humans. Dog, cost was actually $60. Same dosage, same pill count, but adding chicken flavor and putting a little dog on the label dropped the price 98%.
You had 10 minutes to live, what would you do with it? Find a way to make it someone else's problem. Time it just right, so that I'm drinking a coffee, and say something tastes soft and I really mess up someone's day. Panic. Grab some random stuff and run to the weirdest possible place. Make it a real mystery for everyone. I would start the greatest cop chase the world has ever seen. Probably just cuddle with my cat. Delete my browser history.
What are obvious immediate giveaways that someone is an American? British man once told me he knew I was American because I was wearing a baseball cap backwards. Teeth. Americans are all about cosmetic dentistry and orthodontics. The ones that aren't are probably not able to easily afford international travel. So we don't see a lot of Americans without perfectly aligned, iridescent white teeth in the UK or Australia. Talking to strangers. Americans absolutely love talking to strangers, and when this clashes with the British imperative to avoid talking to strangers, I find it kind of hilarious. I quite enjoy when I see Americans on the tube in London, prattling away to British commuters who look like they are dying inside. Flip-flops/sandals. In warm weather you'll see Americans wearing leather flip-flops. As a flip-flop connoisseur, I'm Australian, I spot the American-style flip-flops a mile away.
What is wrong with our society today? I was in the local swimming pool yesterday. I say bye to my girlfriend out in the hallway before we head to our gender-separated changing rooms and showers. I find an available locker, undress, and lock my clothes in the locker. The moment I turn around, and am about to head for the shower, the door to the changing room opens wide. A woman is holding the door to let her 3 boys in. She has full view of at least 3 completely naked men and several preteen boys. She makes eye contact with me. Behind her, other guests are walking to from the female changing room further down the hallway. She says bye to her boys and closes the door to continue down to her changing room. Everyone acts like this is completely natural. Now imagine if a man did this with his daughters and holds the door open to the female changing room while looking at the other female guests and preteen girls. Redditors who almost died. What happened? When I got my wisdom teeth taken out I got for sedation. The next day my forearm was a little sore. The next day it was more sore and a little red, so I called the oral surgeon who said it was fine, just take some Advil. The next day it was more red and more sore, same advice from the oral surgeon. The next day the redness was tracking up my vein, and the oral surgeon said it was fine. The first nurse on the other hand firmly said to drop whatever I was doing and go straight to the ER. When I got to the ER they skipped me ahead of everyone in the waiting room and straight back to put different broad-spectrum antibiotics IVs in each arm, and started me on a third one in pill form because I had a blood infection. I specifically remember them saying something to the effect of, we don't have time to figure out what it is, we just need to kill it. What's the most badass thing you've accidentally said in the heat of the moment? Go wait with mommy, daddy might be going back to jail again. Guy pushed my 5-year-old daughter at the fish store and she started crying. When he heard me say that he ran out of the store. I've never been to jail before. I was crazy about this dude. He was intelligent, hot, funny, and a bit older. After a few weeks of dating he said he wasn't ready for a commitment. I told him to come pick up his book from my place, and not to reach out again as it hurt too much. I was that into him. So he comes to my apartment, I go to hand him the book, and begin to shut the door. He puts his foot in the way to stop it and says I don't know what to do, I'm not ready, but I can't stop thinking about you. Moving my hand off the door, I hand him the book anyways and said then pick me up at 7. Anyways now we're married.
Americans of Reddit, what is something the rest of the world needs to hear? Our national parks are breathtaking. Guys, charging to use the public bathroom is weird. We drive cars because public transportation is non-existent for most people. I live 10 minutes out in the country from my nearest town and 30 to 45 minutes from the nearest city. I have to have a car or else I'm not getting anywhere. Stop telling us where various cities are located as if we're too stupid to figure it out. We know where Paris is. It's in Texas. It's not that we don't want to visit other countries, it's that for the majority of Americans, Canada and Mexico are a day or two drive away, and paying over $1,000 to get a round-trip ticket overseas isn't something a lot of people can justify buying. Y'all are getting fat too. We're not even in the top 10 anymore. We hate our politicians as much as non-Americans do. We do indeed have a few good ones trying to do the right thing, but they are heavily outnumbered by both people, votes and money.
You have 24 hours with no internet or mobile phone access. What do you do to pass the time? It was 2020, peak pandemic, and my phone and laptop both broke. I was without internet and tech for 3 months. I read around 40 books, taught myself algebra and botany from textbooks that belonged to my late grandfather. I was either teaching via my neighbor's phone, reading, eating, working out or sleeping. Most personally productive 3 months I've had in a long time. Read. Put together one of my 1,000-piece puzzles or crack open my 5,000 so I can get discouraged and hide it away again. Start putting together a papercraft model. Paint my D&D miniatures. Play offline games, hang out with the kids, play sports, watch Blu-rays etc. Glad I was born pre-internet. This is easy, and being an adult I have a garage full of tools. Crank up the old radio and rock out with my cock out. Women who have turned down a proposal. How did he react? I turned down 2 proposals from the same guy. First time he proposed with a key ring while I was in the kitchen at a house party, taking mozzarella sticks out of the oven. I laughed and said nope. He said, "You wound me." Then he grabbed a piece of cheese and went back in the basement to play Xbox. The second time was when we went out to get burgers around a year later. He pulled an onion ring out of the carton and proposed again. I once again declined, and he cackled and ate the onion ring. Then some time later, one day I came home from work and as I walked in the door, there he was on one knee. This time he proposed with a ring pop, a candy ring, and I said yes. After he slipped it on my hand, we kissed and he pulled out an actual ring too. We got married in August, and it's been wonderful. One once saw a guy get shut down in a really fancy restaurant. She got up and left, he stayed and finished his steak. Anyone who stared at him for more than 2 seconds, he said, "What the F are you staring at?" Most awkward restaurant experience of my life. One of my professors proposed to his girlfriend of 7 years after his PhD graduation ceremony. She said no and walked away, never to be heard from again. After telling this to our class he got really sad and walked out.
What did the weird kid in your school do that you'll never forget? At an all-school assembly during my freshman year, a motivational speaker posed an easy rhetorical question to the crowd, and the weird kid in my grade unnecessarily shouted out the answer, to every bored person's sudden delight. For some reason, trying to maintain his authority, the speaker asked our weird kid, "What's your name, son?" Without pause, weird kid stood up from his chair and loudly proclaimed, "My name is Booger." This announcement was met with raucous applause and laughter from the entire student body. It was gloriously random and weird. From then on the weird kid was known only as Booger in our small town. It fit him better than Sean, and he effing owned that name until graduation. Went to a large school, around 3,000 students. If anyone said anything to the weird kid that he didn't like, he would stare at you and recite your name and address. A little creepy. Ate styrofoam, and then visibly lied about it when someone pointed it out. Bits of styrofoam were coming out of his mouth. Ate a sheep pie we were supposed to dissect in science class. Man oh man. One day the bell rings, playground doors open, weird kid walks directly to the center and screams for a full minute. I thought it was weird then, but now I can relate. He had a book where he would write in people that wronged him. I got put in for smelling like soap. Hissed at people in the halls and then bit someone. Naruto ran everywhere, told everyone her dad was Harry Potter, at age 12, and most memorably, came to school bawling her eyes out because she said she had laid an egg and her parents had eaten it for breakfast.
I have conversations with my dead son in the car. My 13-year-old died in Peru after getting caught in a whirlpool. We were on vacation. His mom, my ex, blamed me for his death and our other son also blames me so he doesn't speak to me. He's now 13 too. I don't force him to see me. When I drive home from work, I pretend that I am talking to my son about how his day was at school, what kind of music he wants to listen to, what he wants for dinner, etc. That is why I haven't gotten a new car. There are just too many memories.
It finally happened. I woke up near starting time at school. 30 plus years teaching, never a day late. Came home exhausted, fell asleep and woke up at 7:40. I live 20 minutes away. School starts at 7:50. Called my principal in a panic, said I'd be in as soon as I could. There was a long pause. Then he replied, "Go back to bed, it is 7:40 at night." The next day I told him if he told anyone, I was going to need 2 weeks off to recover from the embarrassment.
You have 24 hours with no internet or mobile phone access, what do you do to pass the time? It was 2020, peak pandemic, and my phone and laptop both broke. I was without internet and tech for 3 months. I read around 40 books, taught myself algebra and botany from textbooks that belonged to my late grandfather. I was either teaching via my neighbor's phone, reading, eating, working out or sleeping. Most personally productive 3 months I've had in a long time. Read. Put together one of my 1,000-piece puzzles or crack open my 5,000 so I can get discouraged and hide it away again. Start putting together a papercraft model. Paint my D&D miniatures. Play offline games, hang out with the kids, play sports, watch Blu-rays etc. Glad I was born pre-internet. This is easy, and being an adult I have a garage full of tools. Crank up the old radio and rock out with my cock out. My husband just fat-shamed our daughter and I'm beyond livid. This happened earlier. We were sitting eating dinner, then my 13-year-old daughter got up from her seat and made her way to one of the top cabinets to grab a plate. She couldn't reach the cabinet and complained about it. My husband said, "Well, you couldn't reach the cabinet because you're fat." My daughter was stunned. I mean, he did make comments about her putting on weight lately but never outright called her fat. She said, "What does height has to do with weight?" He said, "The fatter you are the shorter you get. You've put on some serious amount of weight and should really do something about it before it's too late." This set me off. Our daughter rushed out crying and refused to finish her dinner. He was like, "Well, that's a start." When I told him he caused her to miss dinner. We had a huge fight and he accused me of coddling her rather than actually looking after her the way he does. She's in her room right now and is still crying from what he said. I'm beyond livid. I am so mad because I don't want her to think that her worth is in her weight or physical appearance. I hate how he basically put her self-esteem down and made her cry. What should never have been invented? Pop-up ads. Even the inventor apologized for it. Non-peel-offable stickers. Double unskippable ads. Dental insurance. Teeth should have been covered under medical insurance. Subscription-based programs and items. I don't want to pay a monthly subscription to use Adobe or other items. I want to do a one-time purchase. Goddamn bioweapons, that shit is scary. Ketchup-flavored ice cream. I happily could have lived in a society without Facebook having been invented. Sex bots on social media and spam calling. Subscription to use features of a device you already purchased like BMW's heated seat subscription. Unskippable ads. Microtransactions in games. Flushable wipes, they're not actually flushable. Homeowners associations.